Under the bright moonlight, a gloomy voice suddenly echoed by the rocky cliff. Captain of the main escort, Qin Xiaoyun. Your memory truly astounds me. Qin Xiaoyun, covered in wounds, forced his remaining sliver of reason to listen to him. Thanks to your help, all the ancient texts of the Martial Arts Alliance have been completely restored. Long Shaoran paused for a moment to observe his tragic state before continuing his mockery. I acknowledge this merit. Qin Xiaoyun trembled with rage, gritting his teeth as he confessed. You told me to memorize, so I memorized. You told me to copy, so I copied. But he shot a glare sharper than a knife, accompanied by a bitter question. Is this meaningless death how you repay me? Long Shaoran gently touched his sword hilt and continued his long-winded speech. You have memorized even the highest top-secret files in the Shinshin Pavilion. If someone like you were to collude with the demonic cult, our martial arts alliance would face a great catastrophe. For the justice of the martial world, for the greater good, and the safety of the alliance, it's better if you and those memories disappear from this world. This massive, unwarranted blame dumped on his head made Qin Xiaoyun laugh out of sheer anger. The greater good? He staggered to his feet and threw his head back in a long laugh. The Martial Arts Alliance? In danger? Having torn away all pretenses, Qin Xiaoyun no longer cared about holding back and spat right at him. A martial arts alliance that was defeated by the demonic cult, that had to flee for its life, is still talking about danger? How ridiculous. Long Shaoran's face paled as he growled his retort. Our martial arts alliance will definitely wipe out the demonic cult and rebuild the foundation of the martial world. Qin Xiaoyun found it harder and harder to hide the mockery on his face. The same alliance that used the lives of tens of thousands as a meat shield to flee to the North Sea? I'm really looking forward to it. Let's see how this noble greater good of yours will be built. There's just one thing. Seeing how you value the greater good over human lives, I can no longer tell the difference between the demonic cult and the martial arts alliance. Before Long Shaoran's wide, stunned eyes, Qin Xiaoyun continued in an even tone. You're no different from the demonic cult. I truly regret entrusting my fate to filthy scum like you. He threw himself off the cliff, but his voice still echoed back. As for my death, I'd rather end it myself. Streams of memories surged into Qin Xiaoyun's mind as his body gradually lost gravity. Because I remember too much, my life has been nothing short of hell. When the war between the orthodox and demonic factions broke out, disciples of small sects like Qin Xiaoyun and his junior brothers were all pushed onto the battlefield. But the demonic cult was too strong, and the martial arts alliance was too weak. In the end, they decided to retreat to the North Sea, using people like Qin Xiaoyun as cannon fodder to buy time for their escape. After fleeing to the North Sea, the Martial Arts Alliance approached him with a proposal. He had to memorize all the Alliance's records. They used a sweet, empty promise to smoothly manipulate Qin Xiaoyun. If you memorize everything and restore it at the North Sea base, I will let your junior brothers leave the battlefield. You wouldn't want to see them die tragically as sacrifices, would you? Because of that, he risked his life to memorize everything. Yet now, lying at the bottom of a cold abyss waiting for his life to slip away, Qin Xiaoyun was overwhelmed with regret. Damn it! If only I hadn't sat in the scripture pavilion and instead charged into battle, how great would that have been? That way, at least I could have used my body to help someone escape. No, I should have trained my martial arts harder before that. The more he thought about it, the more unwilling he felt, to the point of cursing inwardly. Son of a bitch, why did the heavens give me this useless ability? If you're going to give me something stronger. Like profound inner chi, for instance. Facing death, Qin Xiaoyun finally felt ultimate regret. He was so immersed in his sea of sorrow that he didn't notice the azure dragon bracelet emitting a brilliant glow. If I were strong enough to protect my junior brothers, if I were even stronger, instead of begging others for protection, I should have grasped the power to protect myself. As the darkness gradually faded, an unfamiliar voice suddenly echoed in his ears. Qin Xiaoyun, is that all you've got? Hurry up and get on your feet. What is this? Did you pass out? The other party poked his head with a wooden sword, mocking him. What a piece of trash. Even your junior brothers lasted longer than this. Qin Xiaoyun blindly grabbed his sword hilt and cursed inwardly. Damn it! This cursed memory. He squeezed his eyes shut and forced himself up, a nameless heat rising in his chest. I'm already dead, and yet, when his endurance crossed its limit, Qin Xiaoyun opened his mouth wide and roared. Are you making me remember the pain too? It hurts like hell. But as he vented his resentment, he suddenly froze, stiff as a board. Qin Xiaoyun's face scrunched up like he was constipated. His lips moved for a long time before he choked out 3 words. This place is. Once he had gathered enough visual cues from the scene, he muttered softly, Are Tai Sect's training ground? Looking at the 2 dumbfounded faces next to him, he stuttered, unable to form a complete sentence. And tears even welled up in the corners of Qin Xiaoyun's eyes. And he decisively lunged toward the 2 people in front of him. Qin Xiaoyun put all his strength into his arms and tightly hugged both of them. Hong Xilian. The image of her lying motionless in the past replayed in his mind. Junior sister Hong. While he was busy mourning the passage of time, Hong Xilian put on a disgusted face. Gross. Senior brother Qin, what the heck are you doing? Qin Xiaoyun ignored her and turned to Jin Xiao, choking back sobs. You idiot, Jin Xiao. The boy, completely clueless, asked in alarm, Senior brother Qin, is something wrong? Qin Xiaoyun continued to ignore him, shifting his gaze to the little radishes at his feet. Junior brothers. The junior brothers of the Tai Sect. Every single one of them had tears in their eyes, all talking at once in confusion. Senior brother, did you eat something weird? Why is he like this? What's going on? What is it? Is he playing a prank again? Who else is here? Senior sister, senior brother Qin has gone crazy again. Hong Xilian was reminded, but she herself hadn't fully recovered from the shock. Well, what is this? Are you crying, senior brother Qin? Qin Xiaoyun, still in his delirium, continued spouting nonsense. So this is the illusion before death. This damn memory. He emotionally gripped Hong Xilian's shoulders, sighing deeply. But still, it's so good to have this. She got goosebumps and turned to Jin Xiao, whispering, what's wrong with him? But he hadn't caught up with the script either, so he asked back, what's going on? Over here, Qin Xiaoyun continued his endless rambling. Come to think of it, junior sister Hong was really cute when she was little. So you were always nagging because of me. I didn't know that. Junior sister, now I even miss those scoldings. Having poked her cheeks enough, he turned to mess with Jin Xiao's face. When we were kids, I found it a bit annoying that Jin Xiao kept wetting the bed. If I could go back, I'd willingly wash your blankets 100,000 times. Suddenly having his dark past dug up, the boy panicked and tried to cover it up. Say, senior brother, that bedwetting thing was ages ago. Why are you bringing it up now? Qin Xiaoyun, acting like a leader meeting the masses, eagerly babbled to everyone. To see these faces again before I die. This illusion is the best thing in the world. The guy who had been ignored by him all this time finally trembled with rage and shouted, Qin Xiaoyun, are you pretending to be crazy because you're afraid to spar with me? Gue Jing arrogantly ordered, if you don't pick up your sword right now, those precious junior brothers of yours will take the beating for you. His reminder made Qin Xiaoyun's face scrunch up completely, his inner voice screaming frantically. If this is an illusion, why couldn't you show me a nicer memory? This is too cruel. Moreover, out of 10,000 people, why did it have to be this guy? It turned out Gue Jing was the spoiled young master of the Guilong Merchant Guild, the guy who threw a ton of money to enter our Tai Sect, the guy who relied on his father's power to brutally beat his fellow disciples under the guise of sparring. Seeing no reaction from him, Gue Jing continued to threaten, you can't escape this spar. Draw your sword. Hearing this, Qin Xiaoyun silently weighed things in his heart. We were so afraid of losing our funding that we didn't dare fight back. We could only grit our teeth and endure it. But outwardly, he cheerfully agreed. All right. If you're that thirsty for it, then, if the heavens have prepared a spot in this illusion for me to beat you up, then I'll gladly accept. Let me pay you back for all the old debts at once. Gue Jing, taking massive counter damage from the attitude, ground his teeth in fury. He channeled all his rage and charged at Qin Xiaoyun like a storm. You insolent bastard. His eyes quietly observed the opponent's moves. At the same time, the tips of his toes secretly gathered power. The sword art I had to endure countless times in my past life. The Sanrong sword art. In Qin Xiaoyun's mind, every move flashed by like a revolving lantern. the martial art that the Guilong Merchant Guild hired old man Xinyuan Xiu to teach him privately. The old man's martial arts were inherently brutal and full of killing intent. Furthermore, he viciously aimed for the eyes, leaving the young disciples of the Tai sect with no way to defend themselves. The Shaoyan of the past, even if he saw through the moves instantly, didn't have the strength to dodge or counterattack. However, in a split second, Qin Shaoyan lightly tilted his head to the side, escaping the lethal strike. Compared to the demonic cult lunatics I've faced, Guizhing is way out of line. Missing his attack, he momentarily couldn't control the shock on his face. He had no idea that the Qin Shaoyan standing before him was someone who had crawled back from hell. Compared to the techniques I had to risk my life to memorize in the scripture pavilion, this is truly not even worth mentioning. Every step Guizhing took appeared before his eyes like a textbook. His pupils instinctively contracted. His feet, without needing any reminder, automatically left their original position. A series of moves were executed by Qin Shaoyan as smoothly as flowing water and drifting clouds. Guizhing was hit so hard he opened his mouth in pain, but couldn't utter a word. Shouty sword art. Impossible. To top it off, Qin Shaoyan threw in some extra emotional damage with arrogant words. This feeling isn't bad at all. He poured all the debts from his past life into this one settlement. Getting to use our sect's own Shouty sword art to teach you a lesson. As he whacked Guizhing's head, Qin Shaoyan's heart bloomed with joy. This is incredibly satisfying. Time seemed to freeze the moment he struck. All eyes were fixed on the two of them. But having unleashed a full combo and seeing his opponent still standing, Qin Shaoyan was a bit startled. Guizhing even used a gloomy tone to warn him. Qin Shaoyan, you've got a lot of nerve. Daring to use that garbage Shouty sword art to injure the head of the Guilong Merchant Guild's eldest son. His mouth suddenly split open into a wide, manic grin. Guizhing, in a final burst of desperate energy, charged forward as if wanting to take them both down. Can you bear the consequences of this? Yet, before he could even touch a hair on Qin Shaoyan's leg, he face-planted right into Mother Earth. The junior sister standing outside the ring blurted out in a daze, "Qin." The surrounding disciples, just waiting for this moment, immediately swarmed like a broken beehive. Senior brother Qin won. I never thought senior brother was this highly skilled. From now on, if you steal my candy, I won't even cry anymore. I always secretly thought you were useless. I'm so sorry, senior brother. All these flowery words piercing his eardrums made the corners of Qin Shaoyan's mouth twitch. He looked down at the defeated foe at his feet and excitedly thought to himself, to see this Guiying beaten to a pulp before I go to the Yellow Springs. Oh heavens, I have no more regrets in this world. I don't want to wake up from this pre-death dream at all. But before he could finish floating on cloud nine, Qin Shaoyan's face took a wind-tearing punch. Hong Xilian maintained her stance and loudly lectured him. Are you crazy, senior brother? Ignoring Qin Shaoyan's dumbfounded look, she started rapping without catching her breath. If the Guilong Merchant Guild cuts off our funding, what are we going to do? Did you think the junior brothers endured Gui's beatings because they're all stupid? The junior brothers are already starving, only getting to eat 2 meals a day. If we're reduced to 1 meal now, what's your plan? Shaoyan held his swollen cheek, struggling to organize his thoughts. Why does this hurt so much? This situation right now. As Hong Xilian loudly concluded, senior brother, you have to take responsibility. He finally looked seriously at reality and shouted back even louder, isn't this an illusion before death? Talking until her throat was dry only to get a weird question in return, Hong Xilian's face turned as dark as coal. Having held it in all this time, she unleashed her inner power, punching Qin Shaoyan again with a lion's roar. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Unclear if it was from the pain or the shock, he could only choke out one word. Seeing Qin Shaoyan lying spread-eagled with his soul seemingly having left his body, Jin Zhao's group was a bit flustered. Senior brother Qin. Senior brother. Snap out of it. Hong Xilian suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. Did I just kill senior brother? No one knew the question swirling in his mind. Could it be that I've traveled back in time? The scene soon shifted to the infirmary. Qin Shaoyan lay there with a swollen, bruised face, recalling what he had just experienced. When I opened my eyes, I was already lying on a bed in the infirmary. It seems I was knocked out by junior sister. Taking this chance, I should try to sort out everything that's happened. First, everything started with the disaster of the demonic cult's return. The martial arts alliance fought the demonic cult, lost, and was wiped out. Qin Xiaoyun's Tai sect, originally part of the martial arts alliance, was also on the brink of annihilation. Under those circumstances, someone with an excessively good memory like him was entrusted with the heavy responsibility of memorizing all the secret manuals for future restoration. Even when cramming words until he coughed up blood, Qin Xiaoyun still gritted his teeth and offered, "I can memorize even more. No, all the scriptures and documents of the martial arts alliance. I will engrave them into my brain. Not a single word will be missing." It turned out his desperation was all aimed at a single goal. In exchange, please allow the disciples of my sect to be exempt from joining the battlefield. However, they said that very memory could become a stumbling block for the future of the martial arts alliance. After that, Qin Xiaoyun thought he had died. But when he woke up, it seems I've been reborn into the past. And then, thanks to the memories of martial arts manuals still stored in my head. Whether intentionally or not, Qin Xiaoyun managed to defeat Gue Jing, someone he absolutely shouldn't have been able to beat. Having calculated everything, Qin Xiaoyun wearily voiced his doubt. What exactly is going on here? Just as he finished speaking, his eyes fell on the jade-green bracelet on his wrist. Looking closely, my body and clothes have all returned to my youth. But this Azure Dragon bracelet came back to the past with me. This was one of the few victories in the countless battles against the demonic cult. The bracelet of the demonic cult's guardian Dharma King, named the Azure Dragon bracelet, was the spoil of war from that victory. I remember at the moment my breath faded in my previous life, this bracelet suddenly shone brilliantly. Why? Qin Xiaoyun raised his hand, admiring it, and silently guessing. Could there be some connection between this bracelet and my return to the past? But before he could discover anything, a roar from outside interrupted him. Why haven't you handed that Qin Xiaoyun over yet? He sat up, looking at the two figures outside the door with a suspicious gaze. Gue Yanshi, fuming with anger, pointed his finger and yelled, "I must see the bastard who cracked my Jing's head open." The sect leader opposite him politely replied, "Please forgive us. It was my lack of discipline. Please punish me, but don't target Xiaoyun." While Qin Xiaoyun was still trying to place it, this voices, Gue Yanshi continued to aggressively talk over him. Have you forgotten that although Jing is temporarily staying at the Tai sect, he is still the legitimate son of our Guilong merchant guild? Living off our guild's funding and yet daring to. Well, do you believe I'll cut off the funding starting this very month? The sect leader, despite knowing he was in the weaker position, tried to choose his words carefully. I understand that better than anyone. I always engrave the Guilong merchant guild's generosity in my heart. But seeing that Xiaoyun also fainted, it seems Jing hit him too. No, I will strictly discipline Xiaoyun. Please let it slide this time. Hearing this, Qin Xiaoyun had already guessed the identity of the person outside. Sect leader. He quickly shifted his gaze to the chubby figure next to him. That person is the father of Gue Jing, the guy I just taught a lesson. The guild leader of the Guilong Merchant Guild, Gue Yanshi. Seeing the sect leader acting so submissive, the old man became even more arrogant. You must punish that Qin Xiaoyun severely. A lowly peasant daring to forget his place. No wonder the Tai sect has fallen to such a state. If the sect leader had taught him properly from the start, this wouldn't have. Feeling the blood rushing to his head, the sect leader hastily tried to smooth things over. My deepest apologies. My deepest apologies. Qin Xiaoyun sat up abruptly, staring blankly as he recalled the past. In his heart, a rebellious thought suddenly flared up. A second chance at life, huh? Thinking of this, he chewed the wooden stick in his mouth to pieces. Then he sprang up energetically, stretching as if he had never been devastated at all. Qin Xiaoyun's mouth even curled into a hiss. All right then, let me stir up this muddy water and see what happens. After a round of smooth talking, the sect leader earnestly escorted Gue Yanshi all the way to the main gate. Thank you for your generous forgiveness. Even though he had walked far away, the old man still craned his neck and shouted at the sect leader's back, I'm only letting it go this one time. He walked past the corner without noticing Qin Xiaoyun's presence on the roof. He decided to jump down and announce himself like an ambush. I heard you were going through great lengths to find me. Greetings. I am the lowly Qin Xiaoyan. Startled, Gue Yinshi's eyes looked like they were about to pop out. He instinctively screamed, Qin Xiaoyan. Once he regained his senses, his emotions exploded. You're that Qin Xiaoyan. So you're the bastard who injured my Zhiying. Qin Xiaoyan clicked his tongue, let out a long sigh, and asked back, Who are you calling a bastard? The age gap between you and me isn't even that big. Halfway through his sentence, the atmosphere between the two seemed to freeze. Qin Xiaoyan's inner voice immediately sounded an alarm. I've been reborn, haven't I? Outwardly, he cupped his hands and glibly explained, No, anyway, making such a fuss over a hit to the head during a spar. Later, when senior brother Gue enters the martial arts academy, are you planning to follow him there and make a fuss too? Being slapped in the face like that, if Gue Yinshi held it in, he'd probably ascend to become Buddha. What did you say? You clearly used despicable tricks under the guise of sparring to crack my Zhiying's head. Furthermore, Zhiying doesn't need to practice martial arts at a place like your Tai sect. You people just need to serve him well until he enrolls in the martial arts academy, and that's enough. Qin Xiaoyan shook his head, delivering a beautiful counterattack. But what about the dozen or so junior brothers who were beaten by senior brother Gue until they were bedridden? Too many to count. Since we're on the topic of sparring, I'd like to say a few words too. He paused for a moment before suddenly switching to a serious tone. Your son was defeated by a lowly nobody from a third-rate sect. With that level of martial arts, getting into the martial arts academy is truly a pipe dream. Gue Yinshi was trembling with rage from these harsh truths. Why, you little brat? How dare you? The accompanying servant, afraid the old man's blood pressure would spike and kill him, rushed over to soothe him. Master, please calm down. But Gue Yinshi not only didn't cool down, he grabbed Qin Xiaoyan's collar and yelled in his face. Even if our merchant guild cuts off funding to the Tai sect, do you think you can bear the consequences, acting so arrogant? Hearing this, he provoked the old man by repeating a single word. Consequences? Gue Yinshi thought he was scared and became even more arrogant. Although the Tai sect belongs to the 108 Peaks, isn't it just a third-rate sect on the verge of extinction? If I want to, I can negotiate with any other sect. But if I do that, won't your Tai sect have to worry about your next meal tomorrow? The familiar yet strange concept he mentioned unlocked dusty memories in Qin Xiaoyan's mind. The 108 Peaks is a title for the top 108 sects of the Martial Arts Alliance. The Tai sect is one of them. How did we even get in there? In other words, the Tai sect now only has the title of the 108 Peaks. In reality, it's a third-rate sect that has lost its past glory. However, the Martial Arts Alliance has a special privilege for sects belonging to the 108 Peaks. That is, during the entrance exam for the Martial Arts Academy, each sect is allowed to nominate one disciple for direct admission, enrolling without needing to take the exam. Meaning, Gue Ying didn't originally belong to the 108 Peaks, but was the legitimate son of the Guilong Merchant Guild. But to get into the Martial Arts Academy through direct admission, he spent a massive amount of sponsorship money to become a lay disciple of this mediocre Tai sect. However, having figured it out, Qin Xiaoyan calmly replied, Go ahead and do as you please. Gue Yinshi, who was enjoying his sense of superiority, suddenly froze. What? He grinned mockingly and repeated, I'll take responsibility. Do whatever you want. But I'm really curious. Qin Xiaoyan leisurely squeezed the old man's chubby arm and whispered further, with the direct admission assessment less than a year away. Why did the guild leader here bypass so many sects in the 108 Peaks and insist on sending his precious son to this shabby place? Could it be you were rejected by everywhere else? It was unclear if it hit a nerve, but Gue Yinshi's face suddenly turned as green as a leaf. Why, you bastard? That look made Qin Xiaoyan feel incredibly satisfied. In my past life, I had to endure and cater to the Guilong Merchant Guild. The truth is, Gue Ying was nominated for direct admission and got into the Martial Arts Academy. As his fingers were gently pried off one by one, Gue Yinshi still hadn't steadied his voice. You animal. So audacious. How dare you? Do you know who I am to speak to me with such insolence? But seeing no response from him, the old man fell back into his arrogant habits. Wake up. Don't you know the Martial Arts Alliance stopped caring about the likes of the Tai sect a long time ago? Remember, The only ones who can save you are the Guilong Merchant Guild. Qin Shaoyan let the old man jump around like a clown, immersing himself in his own thoughts. But after Guijing got into the martial arts academy, the Guilong Merchant Guild ended up cutting the funding anyway. Having seen the treacherous true faces of the Gui father and son, Qin Shaoyan spoke without holding back. You should remember this too. The only ones who can save the Guilong Merchant Guild are our Tai sect. Being stepped on by someone he looked down upon, Gui Yanshi was so furious he saw stars. But he couldn't stop Qin Shaoyan from walking right past him. He satisfyingly concluded, begging others to protect you is useless. You must grasp the power to protect yourself. Gui Yanshi, struggling to breathe, tried to throw out one more curse. You insolent little brat. But Qin Shaoyan didn't care about him anymore. He was busy with his plan. That is the lesson I exchanged my life for. He talked a big game, but in reality, Qin Shaoyan hadn't thought of a solution yet. After venting his mouth, he blankly asked himself, but how? Soon, dusk settled behind the mountains. In a hidden ravine, a gloomy atmosphere rose thickly. Qin Shaoyan strode through it while his mind was still spinning. Right now, my ultimate mission is only one thing. That is to become stronger. However, with just the Tai mental method and the heavily flawed Shaodian sword art, it's hard to get stronger. Then there's only one way. He fixed his eyes on the 10,000-year fire ginseng and finalized his plan. Use spiritual herbs to achieve overwhelming inner chi. In the Martial World's Spiritual Herb Compendium, one of the Martial Arts Alliance's secret documents, there are complete records of where to find, when they appear, and the movement routes of spiritual herbs in the martial world. And all of that content is perfectly intact right here in my head. So I plan to follow the memories from the manual and find and eat every single spiritual herb. Calculating in his head was easy, but facing reality made him a bit timid. But the problem is, the gatekeeper looks even more disgusting than what was written in the book. Even so, poverty can conquer all. He vigorously cheered himself on internally. All right, the first step is to seize the 10,000-year fire ginseng. I'll use our Tai Sect's Shaodian sword art to subdue it in one move. But his miserable failure proved the gap between theory and practice. Qin Shaoyan quickly realized it was impossible, because both my inner chi and sword skills are currently very weak. Why do I need to use brute force? Using what I read in the book to beat someone like Guijing is my limit. Losing this round, he decided to try another. Qin Shaoyan quickly readied the torch in his hand. It turned out his golden memory had shown him a new trick. Later on, I realized something. When you have tens of thousands of scripture manuals stored in your head, then outstanding swordsmanship isn't everything. Martial Dao? Swordsmanship? I don't care. Thinking of this, he threw the torch straight at the human-faced demonic spider. Looking at the beast roasted to a fragrant crisp, Qin Shaoyan satisfyingly concluded, as long as I win, that's all that matters. He wasted no time grabbing the fire ginseng and added, thanks. Those Martial Arts Alliance bastards. According to the Martial World's Spiritual Herb Compendium, the 10,000-year fire ginseng has the effect of shedding one's mortal body and exchanging bones. It is especially effective in enhancing inner chi and yin-yang true chi, found in a mountain cave in a spiritual land. But it is guarded by a human-faced demonic spider, a spider with a human face. It is a spiritual beast that emits toxic miasma and spits venom. It tightly wraps its prey in a web before sucking out their bodily fluids. Its outer shell is so hard that ordinary weapons cannot pierce it. The surrounding spider webs are highly flammable. Fire attacks can be used to ambush it while it is enjoying its prey. After taking a bath in the fire attack, the human-faced demonic spider lay dead on its back. The fire ginseng was quickly uprooted by Qin Shaoyan. But after absorbing it, he just stood there motionless. He even opened his mouth in a long yawn. Qin Shaoyan took a few breaths, then clutched his face and screamed in agony. This isn't enough. I can't believe that even after swallowing this treasure hold down to the roots, my inner chi only increased by this much. I can't believe I could only absorb this little after eating something so miraculous. Qin Shaoyan felt the spiritual pill inside him while crying crocodile tears. As expected, the Tai Sect's mental method is just trash. There really is a huge problem. No. Am I the trash here? My dantian only grew by a tiny bit, the size of an ant's hair. He was in pain. He collapsed and muttered in despair, "If this keeps up, I won't be able to protect the Tai sect from the disasters that will crash down in the future." Bloody images from his past life suddenly rushed back like a waterfall. In the Orthodox demonic Great War, low-level martial artists will be pushed out as pawns. In this life, I must ensure that the junior brothers and sisters of the Tai sect won't die meaningless deaths again. But to do that, I need to become a core figure in the martial arts alliance before the war breaks out. That is the only way I can protect the Tai sect. The first step is to join the martial arts academy within a year. But Qin Xiaoyun scratched his nails against the dirt, whispering, "If things stay like this, I'll never be able to enter the academy." If so, his face was now as pale as a dying man's. Then nothing will change at all. A drop of water condensing from the air suddenly fell. While Qin Xiaoyun was still busy urging himself, "Think. I need to increase my inner qi. Just a little more. Inner qi." As the dripping sound continuously hit his eardrums, he suddenly realized in shock. A spiritual herb. His eyes widened like Columbus discovering America. That's right. Gui Jing's spiritual herb from Huashan. Qin Xiaoyun hurriedly searched his mind to organize the data on the spot. Yes, it's definitely around this time. In the past, Gui Jing's father, Gui Yanshi, spent an astronomical amount of silver to buy the snow plum pill, a spiritual herb of the Huashan sect, for his son. But just one day before Gui Jing was about to swallow the snow plum pill, it vanished into thin air. And the identity of the thief was never found. Since this hasn't happened yet, I still have a chance. Qin Xiaoyun had a target, so his mind quickly formed a map. As long as it's human, they'll definitely leave traces. I can find them. To increase his focus, he decided to sit down right there. No, I absolutely have to find them. Thinking of this, he didn't hesitate to mutter every piece of data he had gathered from his past life. The arrows of investigation followed his train of thought, running like wild horses. The monthly reports of the Hefei branch of the Martial Arts Alliance. It wove through layers of documents, every nook and cranny ignored by normal people. Qin Xiaoyun patiently peeled them back, piece by piece. If I pay a little more attention, there will definitely be a clue somewhere in these memories. Sure enough, a moment later, he had formed a fairly complete system of clues. The Martial Arts Alliance's daily logs. Mission reports. I will compile all the records I can remember, then filter them, use logical deduction, and organize them. 3 names were quickly narrowed down by Qin Xiaoyun after a period of intense brain-racking. He satisfyingly closed the notebook in his memory. Then he clasped his hands together respectfully and blurted out, "I never thought becoming a living encyclopedia would be this useful. I'll gladly help myself seize the snow plum pill." While he was in a state of euphoria, the azure dragon bracelet on Qin Xiaoyun's wrist suddenly glowed. The blinding light made more than half of his joy vanish. Qin Xiaoyun stared at it and muttered in worry, "Why is the azure dragon bracelet suddenly glowing so brightly like this?" Just as he finished speaking, the black smoke emitting from it scared him even more. What is this? That dark energy transformed into claws and lunged at the corpse of the human-faced demonic spider. It quickly devoured the bones that were known to be indestructible. Soon, the spot where the human-faced demonic spider's corpse lay was empty. Only then did Qin Xiaoyun realize in a daze. Is the azure dragon bracelet absorbing the demonic core of the human-faced demonic spider? The light suddenly expanded throughout the ravine, sending birds scattering. Qin Xiaoyun's entire body was enveloped in an incredibly sinister red light. Layers of dust flying off his body looked like a purification process. The pupils in his eyes contracted into a deep blue. When the process was complete, Qin Xiaoyun clenched his fists and let out a long, hearty laugh. This is truly unbelievable. In my past life, this was the spoil of war obtained after a fierce and arduous battle. The Azure Dragon bracelet is a relic left behind by the blood-drinking Demon King, one of the guardian Dharma kings of the demonic cult. This bracelet, which I wore to commemorate the victory and the sudden losses, was activated. Qin Xiaoyun suddenly raised his fists, taking a stance. Without a word, he punched hard into the rock wall next to him. After venting, he maintained his posture and continued to digest the information. And it completely neutralized the toxicity of the evil demonic core it absorbed from the human-faced demonic spider. Then this pure energy naturally merged with the Tai mental method in my body. As a result, looking at the dented cliff and the swelling spiritual core inside him, Qin Shaoyan felt a love for life like never before. Heaven never cuts off all paths for a man. I guess so. Thanks to the demonic cult's treasure, my inner chi has become stronger. As the streetlights came on, the Gue residence was filled with murmurs. Didn't the guild leader of the Guilong Merchant Guild use a lot of money and connections to buy the Huashan spiritual herb for his son? If he can enter the martial arts academy with his inner chi enhanced by the spiritual herb, his life will truly be perfect. Thank you all for attending. Congratulations, Guild Leader Gue. As expected, being born into a wealthy family means having everything. Even a lack of talent can be filled with gold. As long as there's free fine wine at the banquet, that's more than enough for us. In a corner not far away, Gue Jing was arrogantly bragging. So what exactly is that snow plum pill? Even in Huashan, it's second only to the purple cloud pill in enhancing inner chi. And it's a treasure you can only receive exactly one of when you become a true disciple of Huashan. It's incredibly precious. And my father found that priceless spiritual herb for me, Gue Jing. Its effects are also miraculous, especially in solidifying one's physical foundation. Even small things. Hong Silian ignored him jumping around like a clown, only blankly thinking about Qin Shaoyan. That annoying guy. Where is he and what the heck is he doing? A wave of regret suddenly rose in her eyes. That day, I should have been the one to step up and bear the burden, not senior brother Qin. Because I am the one who will carry the entire future of the Tai sect on my shoulders. Ever since what happened that day, senior brother Qin decided to leave the Tai sect. Since Gue Yanshi came looking for the Tai sect every day, he probably thought leaving was his way of showing understanding. But with that thick skull of his, how could he show such consideration and thought? You big idiot, Qin Shaoyan. Gue Jing over here was still chirping like a bird. So, you see, junior sister. Completely unaware of Hong Silian's breakdown. Qin Shaoyan, you idiot. He aggressively suggested, Silian, after we. But before he could finish, he was sent flying by a bunch of little radishes. Senior sister. One kid quickly offered a plate of food and called out loudly, Senior Sister Hong. A second later, the whole group surrounded Hong Silian, leaving Gue Ying lying flat on the floor nearby. Senior sister, you have to try this. Senior sister, this is so good. Gue Jing, turning his embarrassment into anger, gritted his teeth and cursed. Those Tai sect dogs. Just wait until this banquet is over. Hong Silian patiently lectured the junior brothers. You guys should eat in the dining hall. Why did you bring it all out here? Just eat. You must be starving since we only had one meal yesterday. One quick-mouthed kid loudly exposed her. That expression. You're thinking about senior brother Qin again, aren't you? Senior sister is always like this. Whenever she thinks about senior brother Qin, she goes mute. It's true. Even though among us, you're always one of the loudest. Exposed by all these mouths, Hong Silian stuttered shyly. Why you guys? The kids took the opportunity to act even more dramatically. Senior brother Qin probably hasn't had dinner yet, right? Should we save some rice cakes for him? Senior brother Qin really likes this meat. It'd be cruel of you to eat it all by yourself. So I'll wait for senior brother Qin. Being gang attacked like this, Hong Silian couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Then she suddenly shoved all the food into her mouth, shocking the whole group. Beloved senior sister. She swallowed it all in one breath and loudly threatened, if you don't eat right now, I'll snatch it back and eat it all. The two kids no longer had the mind to tease her, scrambling for the food like starving tigers. Hong Silian looked at them with gentle eyes, but her heart was still full of worry. Seriously, this guy? Where exactly is he and what is he doing, leaving these kids behind? Qin Shaoyan, you big idiot. Dusk was quickly replaced by the deep night. Gue Yanshi upstairs was still drinking and toasting in his role as the host. Gue Jing, following his old man's example, was also enthusiastically toasting with his peers. In the middle of the hall, dancers were doing their best to show off their most graceful skills. No one noticed the pattering sound of movement on the roof tiles. The master thief, Zhou Changmu, used lightning-fast speed to infiltrate the Gue residence's backyard. His profound lightfoot technique allowed him to glide like a ghost. Having successfully escaped the Gue residence, Zhou Changmu couldn't help but pull down his black mask and excitedly remark, "So this is the famous Huashan spiritual herb? Even the secret vault of the great Guilong Merchant Guild isn't all that impressive, huh? Let's see." After popping the lid, the snow plum pill, shining like a pearl, caught Zhou Changmu's eyes. He was so thrilled his whole body trembled like he had a stroke. Because he was so overjoyed, he didn't even notice the uninvited guest appearing behind him. "If I swallow this, I'll have enough inner chi to master the Haotian Divine Palm Manual. I need to get out of here quickly." Just as he finished speaking, a sharp sword strike drew some blood from Zhou Changmu. He was left in a state where his body stayed but his head left, his face still frozen in shock. The opponent quickly snatched the snow plum pill box and gloated, "Oh my god, I'm sorry. But I really need this too. And I'm not much worse off than you." A few days before the snow plum pill theft occurred, the scene showed a scattering of large and small animal traps. The shop owner was pacing around the counter when he heard footsteps. His eyes swept over with a sharp, cold gleam. Before the person even stepped in, the shop owner heard a resonant voice. "I heard rumors that you specialize in selling rare goods, so I came here." Qin Xiaoyan quickly revealed himself and asked an incredibly bold question. "Do you sell man-traps here?" The shop owner stabbed his dagger straight into the rabbit in front of him as a warning before speaking. "Man-traps? You're quite interesting customer." But he still had enough conscience to remind Qin Xiaoyan, "We are the best hunting gear shop in Hefei. We have every kind of trap you can imagine, from catching the smallest rabbit to a bear as big as a mountain. Except for man-traps." Getting his answer, he cheerfully threw a bag of money on the table. "Then give me a few tiger or bear traps." The shop owner kindly reminded him, "Planning to hunt with traps? That'll ruin the animal's pelt." Qin Xiaoyan shared ambiguously, "I don't need the pelt, so it doesn't matter. I just need the kind that's extremely sensitive, where even a falling hair is enough to trigger it, and strong enough to crush a bear's leg." Speaking of this, he couldn't help but rub his chin with a sly smile. No, just strong enough to send them to King Yama in one hit." "Got it." Looking at Qin Xiaoyan's face, the shop owner suddenly felt a chill down his spine. "I feel like I shouldn't sell these things to him. That's my intuition speaking after 27 years of experience." Returning to the scene of Zhou Changmu's murder, Goi Wu, having succeeded, gleefully took off his mask and complained, "I thought he'd be tough since he has some reputation in the martial world." He paused for a moment, looking down at the snow plum pill box in his hand with great satisfaction. Right at that moment, a rustling footstep sounded beside him, just as expected of my senior brother. Zhang Hanqi, carrying his cold weapon, casually commented, "This was way too easy, wasn't it?" Goi Wu turned back and added, "The two of us from the 5 Swords of Tsangshan were worried for nothing." After chatting, he looked around and reminded him of the main business. "First, we have to dispose of this body. The soul-chasing guest will have to disappear for a while." Zhang Hanqi, in no rush, suddenly suggested, "Before that, shouldn't we admire this precious snow plum pill?" "Agreed." At his words, Goi Wu immediately popped open the brocade box. The more he looked, the more mesmerized he became, letting flowery words slip out. "Look at this brilliant color and the rich scent of plum blossoms. This is definitely the Huashan snow plum pill we've been looking for." Qin Xiaoyan appeared like a ghost between the two thieves and chimed in, "You two have 2 mouths to feed, but only 1 snow plum pill." As soon as he finished his sentence, the atmosphere suddenly thickened. Goi Wu and Zhang Hanqi quickly snapped back to reality, jumping back and demanding, "Who's there?" But seeing the snow plum pill box in Qin Xiaoyan's hand, his eyes almost popped out. "How could he get so close without me noticing?" Goi Wu frantically pointed his finger. "Junior brother, catch that thief immediately." Zhang Hanqi had already charged forward, shouting back, "You don't need to tell me twice." He swung the broadsword in his hand, threatening fiercely, "Consider this the price for daring to covet something that doesn't belong to you." Qin Xiaoyan ran faster than a rabbit, but his mouth didn't forget to talk back. "What? A thief? You bastards are truly shameless. Is this what you were taught at the Tsangshan sect?" He sprinted while lecturing the 2 thick-skinned thieves chasing him. "You guys are the ones who stole it first." But while speeding along, Qin Xiaoyan suddenly noticed Zhang Hanqi leaping high into the air. He hastily widened the distance, successfully dodging the downward slash of his blade. At the same time, he didn't forget to give a friendly reminder. And let me warn you, watch your step. Before he could even finish, an animal trap snapped shut right on Zhang Hanqi's leg. The sudden, dangerous turn of events made him freeze for 5 seconds. Seeing this, Qin Xiaoyan's eyes lit up like he hit the jackpot. Sweat poured down Zhang Hanqi's face like a waterfall. When the pain reached his brain, he screamed like a pig being boiled alive. Goi Wu, chasing from afar, called out in alarm, "Junior brother." Qin Xiaoyan scratched his face and explained, "I told you to watch your step." Goi Wu was so enraged by his nonchalant attitude that he trembled. "I don't know who you are or where you came from, but you're a despicable coward. I can't believe a swordsman like you would resort to these dirty little tricks." He furiously drew his weapon and yelled at Qin Xiaoyan, "Take off your mask and state your name right now." He casually picked up a rock by his feet and asked back, "Me?" Then Qin Xiaoyan threw it at him while his mouth kept running. "Like what sect I'm from, or whose disciple I am? Is that what you want me to say?" As the rock landed at Goi Wu's feet, he sighed, "That's so old-fashioned." He looked at the animal trap that crushed the rock right next to him, his soul almost leaving his body. Sweat dripped down his pale face. At this point, Qin Xiaoyan didn't mind revealing a secret to these two losers. "I am the new owner of the Snow Plum Pill, and you two will rot in prison on charges of assassinating the soul-chasing guest." How does that sound? Even so, he didn't intend to share all his secrets with them. Wondering how I knew who the real culprits were? I noticed some strange points when reviewing the records. The truth is, all traces of the soul-chasing guest completely disappeared right after the Snow Plum Pill was stolen. And there were no rising experts who seemed to have consumed the Snow Plum Pill either. So, I reviewed the records of all martial artists who showed even the slightest sign of increased inner qi during that time. And just like that, I caught you. It's highly likely the soul-chasing guest was murdered and his body buried. If we assume that at least 2 people split the Snow Plum Pill to absorb it, even if it wasn't enough to catch the world's attention, the ones who simultaneously had a sudden surge in inner qi for no apparent reason are the 2 swordsmen of the 5 swords of Tsongshan, Goi Wu and Zhang Hanqi. Goi Wu had nothing left to lose, but still tried to act tough. "Why, you seem to already know who we are." Qin Xiaoyan naturally confirmed, "Of course. I know you very well. You are 2 of the 5 swords of Tsongshan from the Tsongshan sect." He clumsily added another sentence. "If you already know that, then aren't you afraid of the prestige of the Tsongshan sect and the martial arts alliance at all?" That question made Qin Xiaoyan doubt his IQ. I never thought a robber would report another robber he caught in the act of robbing. Suddenly, Zhang Hanqi flew into a rage, raising his fists. "These cheap tricks." Qin Xiaoyan's eyes instinctively widened to the max. But contrary to his thoughts, his fists smashed into the ground. "Did you think they'd work on me?" Following the force from Zhang Hanqi, a series of animal traps flew up from the ground like rain. The traps that left their positions automatically snapped shut, target or no target. Seeing his setup exposed, Qin Xiaoyan couldn't help but curse inwardly. "Damn it, more traps." Zhang Hanqi took advantage of the momentum to throw out another threat. "Next, I'll tear off that mask and chop you into a million pieces. Prepare yourself." Goi Wu beside him quickly chimed in. "Well done, junior brother." Only Qin Xiaoyan didn't react to this turn of events. He suddenly turned and ran, leaving them stunned. "Are you trying to run away?" Goi Wu carried his blade and shouted, "Junior brother, let's go after him." Zhang Hanqi, having suffered once, was more cautious. "Careful, senior brother. He's running toward another pile of dry leaves. That place is definitely rigged with traps too." Hearing this, Goi Wu replied disdainfully, "We just need to step exactly where he stepped. What's there to worry about?" Zhang Hanqi, tasting the sweetness of the idea, grinned and flattered him. "As expected of my brilliant senior brother." The 2 of them chased closely behind Qin Xiaoyan. The entire path was covered in thick footprints guiding them. Goi Wu couldn't help but grin from ear to ear. "What a pity. All your petty little tricks are useless." Right at that moment, Qin Xiaoyan suddenly leaped up and changed direction. He landed on a bare patch of dirt with no leaves. The Goi Wu brothers mocked him. "What's wrong? Have you finally understood the current situation? Your life ends here." But they didn't realize that Qin Xiaoyan's entire body was hovering over a single footprint. Then he used the corner of his eye to observe the 2 thieves behind him. When he landed, the tips of his toes dodged to the sides of the footprints on the ground. Beneath the mask was Qin Xiaoyan's cryptic smile. Sure enough, a second later, the two Go-Iwu brothers fell into the traps one after another. On the shiny surface of the traps, their dumbfounded faces were clearly reflected. After struggling in vain for a while, Go-Iwu, stuck on the ground, trembled and blurted out, "How is this?" Seeing his opponents secured, Qin Xiaoyan leisurely praised them. "You really surprised me. You're smarter than I thought. You thought of only following my footprints. That's almost the right answer. But unfortunately, there's one thing you missed. You had to step exactly where I stepped. Accurately, without deviating a single millimeter, amidst this dense minefield of traps." Hearing this, Go-Iwu's head spun. "This is crazy. This is completely absurd. If you set up such a dense array of traps from the start." He couldn't help but ask the question everyone wanted to ask. "Then how the hell could you step through them so accurately?" Qin Xiaoyan kindly educated him. "That's because my memory is the only gift the heavens bestowed upon me." As soon as he finished speaking, a streak of hot blood sprayed several feet high before his sword strike. The scene shifted to a secluded tea house. Inside, a curious voice rang out. "The Tai Sect in Hefei?" Speaking of this, the owner of the voice instinctively tightened his grip on his teacup. Zhuge Summing repeated in doubt, "Are they a sect belonging to the 108 Peaks?" Nangong Taiyuan opposite him raised his cup and firmly confirmed, "That is correct, strategist. However, haven't many powerful sects emerged in Hefei recently? It's time we slowly replace them with a new mountain." Zhuge Summing listened quietly, calculating in his head. "If you're talking about an expanding sect in Hefei, you're referring to the Iron Sword sect, aren't you? It seems the rumors within the Martial Arts Alliance are true." Nangong Taiyuan opposite him continued to play dumb. "These tea leaves were personally sought out for you, strategist. Are they to your liking?" Zhuge Summing didn't answer immediately, looking at him thoughtfully. The rumor that Nangong Taiyuan is backing the Iron Sword sect. Thinking of this, he slowly chose his words. "You must know the rule that sects belonging to the 108 Peaks won't be dismissed unless they commit a grave crime. Don't tell me. Has the Tai sect done something wrong?" Nangong Taiyuan, waiting for just this, immediately got to the point. "The truth is, the Tai sect has recently been abusing their privileges." He deliberately dragged out his tone before dropping the bomb. "I heard they're using those privileges to run a business." Zhuge Summing slammed his teacup down and demanded, "Are you saying the Tai sect is exploiting the privileges of the 108 Peaks to satisfy their own greed?" Outside the tea house, the birds seemed to stop singing. Inside, Nangong Taiyuan quietly pulled his teacup toward himself. After taking a few deep breaths, he waved his hand to explain. "Please don't misunderstand my intentions. I absolutely did not bring this up just to squeeze another sect into the 108 Peaks." Having acted humble enough, Nangong Taiyuan suddenly switched to a calculating gaze. However, he poured tea while pretending to share the burden. "The reason the Martial Arts Alliance granted privileges to the 108 Peaks was to honor those who stood shoulder to shoulder with us during the most dangerous and difficult times of the past. Isn't that right? When I see those noble meanings gradually fading away." Nangong Taiyuan suddenly pushed the new cup of tea forward and swore earnestly, "As a member of the Martial Arts Alliance, my heart truly aches." Meanwhile, night had fallen, but the inn's waiter was still sitting by the lamp. Inside, Qin Xiaoyan was sitting with his eyes closed, meditating intensely. Spiritual energy coiled around his body like a dragon and tiger. Drops of hot sweat dripped down as if he were being wrung out. It took a while before Qin Xiaoyan slowly opened his eyes. He didn't move immediately, sitting still to let the spiritual energy stabilize. When everything was settled, he excitedly clenched his fists. The snow plum pill truly lives up to its reputation. It's only been a little over half a cycle, and I've finally surpassed my inner chi from my past life. Having rejoiced enough, Qin Xiaoyan leisurely stepped out. He looked around and called out loudly, "Is anyone there?" The waiter, half asleep, instinctively jumped up and replied, "Yes, I'm here. Young master, you finally come out?" Once he saw his face clearly, he immediately started gossiping. "You locked yourself in there for days. I thought something bad had happened to you." Qin Xiaoyan nodded internally in agreement. A lot of things did happen, but outwardly, he had more pressing matters. Just bring me something to eat. Anything is fine. The waiter cried out in alarm. At this hour? The kitchen is already closed. Qin Xiaoyun, judging the situation perfectly, immediately showed off his wealthy demeanor. I'll reward you handsomely. And I'll pay for a whole week's room and board in advance. Sure enough, money talks. The waiter instantly changed his tune and called inside. You lazy cook. Going to sleep this early? I'll drag you out of bed right now. Watching this, Qin Xiaoyun chuckled inwardly with great amusement. Just as I expected, there's nothing in this world that money can't solve. Good thing I used the Azure Dragon Bracelet to scrounge up some silver beforehand. The Azure Dragon Bracelet isn't just effective against demonic beasts. It can also absorb the life force from any living creature and convert it into my own true chi. And also, the tiger pelt was just a bonus reward. Even now, Qin Xiaoyun clearly remembered the shocked face of the trap shop owner when he brought his spoils to show off. I'm here to sell this tiger pelt. But the joy didn't last long. Qin Xiaoyun suddenly rested his chin on his hand, full of worry. Finding a way to make money is great and all. But the problem here is, the power of the Azure Dragon Bracelet can easily be mistaken for the demonic cult by others. That makes it an incredibly dangerous power. One of the 10 great forbidden arts designated by the Martial Arts Alliance is called the Heaven-Swallowing Art. And the ability of the Azure Dragon Bracelet looks exactly like the Heaven-Swallowing Art. If the Martial Arts Alliance catches me, it won't just be me, but everyone in the sect will be in danger. Aware of this, Qin Xiaoyun used a piece of cloth to tightly cover his wrist. He silently swore to himself, I absolutely cannot let myself be discovered. Right at that moment, the waiter skipped over, interrupting his train of thought. Young master, your food is here. How is it? Our cook put a lot of heart into this dish. Looking at the feast, Qin Xiaoyun felt a bit dizzy for a moment. Looks delicious. Thanks for the meal. But while eating, he still felt uncomfortable because of the waiter's scrutinizing gaze. Why hasn't he left yet? A few seconds later, he decided to start talking. Young master, have you heard the rumors? Qin Xiaoyun casually asked back, what rumors? Seeing he tuned in, the waiter freely shared. Did you know the Guilong Merchant Guild recently hosted a huge banquet after acquiring a precious spiritual pill? But that spiritual pill was stolen right in the middle of the banquet. To be able to steal a spiritual pill without leaving a single trace in such a crowded place, that person must be a true master. Anyway, the Martial Arts Alliance has dispatched an investigation team because of it. The next words almost made Qin Xiaoyun cough up blood. They're trying to catch the culprit at all costs. The waiter finally noticed his patron's condition. Young master, are you okay? Have some water. Qin Xiaoyun hastily covered it up. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Keep going. What did the Martial Arts Alliance do? The waiter dragged out his words. Well, the Martial Arts Alliance mobilized an entire investigation team to hunt down the culprit. Qin Xiaoyun anxiously added in his mind. Has the Martial Arts Alliance found any clues? Or have they already caught the culprit? The more he guessed, the colder his spine felt. If they've already caught the culprit, it's definitely going to be a huge mess. Because I'm the real culprit. If so, doesn't that mean they've arrested an innocent person? While he was lost in thought, the waiter threw out a tranquilizer. But rumor has it that all traces went completely cold, so they couldn't find anything at all. Qin Xiaoyun's heart wanted to bloom, but outwardly, he tried to act serious. Oh my, its owner must be devastated. The waiter quickly added, that's right. Because of that, the banquet had to end very early. It's a shame because we lost quite a few customers too. But luckily, there's going to be another banquet held in Hefei soon. Qin Xiaoyun asked curiously, another banquet? By the Guilong Merchant Guild? But his answer dragged him into another worry. No, this time it's at the Iron Sword Sect. Even though Qin Xiaoyun's face darkened, the waiter kept chirping. Rumor has it they're going to throw a massive 7-day, 7-night feast to celebrate the Iron Sword Sect leader's 60th birthday. This is our busy season, so we're really looking forward to it. Qin Xiaoyun ignored him, sinking into distant memories. That's right. It's definitely around this time. The Iron Sword Sect leader's 60th birthday banquet. In my past life, my father had to kneel and beg in front of thousands of eyes from so many others. Right at the Iron Sword Sect leader's 60th birthday banquet. He had to open his mouth, bow his head, and apologize to him. And the cause of all that trouble was all because of me. Qin Xiaoyun, his son, The humiliation of the past made his fists tremble. Even so, a seed of determination was planted in his heart. But this time is different. I must avoid going to the Iron Sword sect at all costs. That's what I thought. Then why the hell am I standing in the middle of a sparring match like this? With the grandson of the Iron Sword sect leader. Right at the Iron Sword sect leader's 60th birthday banquet. To not miss any clues, let's rewind to a few days ago at the Tai sect. A disciple slumped into a chair, groaning weakly. My legs are about to fall off. The three Lee brothers, often called the Gold, Silver, and Bronze brothers. One was panting, the other drinking water, but without prior agreement, they all looked like they had just fled a disaster. Lee In-heo, after chugging half a jug of water, opened his mouth to complain. Swinging a sword 100 times in this weather, will this really help us master the Shoutian sword art? Li Jinbiao didn't even wait for him to finish before cutting in. In-heo. He pointed right at his second brother's face and mocked. Where did the guy who said he wanted to be as cool as senior brother Qin go? Li In-heo, embarrassed and angry, retorted loudly. When did I say senior brother Qin was cool? I just said I felt proud when he beat senior brother Gue and mastered the Shoutian sword art. Li Jinbiao pressed on relentlessly. That's basically calling him cool. Li Donglong, who had been quiet all this time, suddenly chimed in with a random question. By the way, what is senior brother Qin doing right now? He leaned on his sword, cautiously expressing his worry. This is the first time he's been gone for over a week without coming back. He didn't even leave a message. Li In-heo, thinking of the bloody scene from the other day, boldly guessed, could it be that he's intentionally hiding because he's afraid of the fallout from beating senior brother Gue black and blue? Li Jinbiao put on a serious face and added in a deep voice, I think he left the sect because he's afraid the Guilong Merchant Guild will take revenge on us. Li In-heo was stunned and called out, what? But a second later, he suddenly switched to a melancholic tone. Even though senior brother Qin is a bit annoying sometimes, he's actually a good person. Li Jinbiao, seeing his second brother acting so dramatic, was a bit speechless. Why are you guys talking about him like that? Like he's dead. It was Li Donglong who had sharp eyes and cheered before the other two could talk about Qin Xiaoyan's death anniversary. It's senior brother Qin. Outside the main gate, he was carrying a sack almost as big as himself, walking in imposingly. As he walked, Qin Xiaoyan was calculating in his head. If I don't go to the Iron Sword sect this time, father won't have to suffer the humiliation of apologizing. However, that was just one of the countless tricks they used to humiliate us. After that, the entire Tai sect continued to suffer insults big and small. No need to overthink it. As he stepped through the main gate, the plan was finalized in his head. I absolutely will not go to the Iron Sword sect. Not just me, but the entire Tai sect must not attend the Iron Sword sect leader's birthday banquet. To do that, I need a very convincing excuse. While he was tangled in his thoughts, the sound of cheering brought Qin Xiaoyan back to the present. Oh wow. It really is senior brother Qin. Li Jinbiao, despite being behind, was not to be outdone and spoke first. Senior brother Qin, where have you been all this time? He leaned against the door, trying to hold back a laugh, and asked back, aren't you the Gold, Silver, and Bronze brothers? Did you come out to welcome me because I was gone so long? Even the other junior brothers came out to welcome me. I'm truly touched. Li Jinbiao choked up and called out, senior brother Qin. Li Donglong stepped up to show off. Senior brother, I'm practicing the Shoutian sword art. Li In-heo was more direct, opening his mouth to beg. Senior brother Qin, please teach me that move. The one you used to take down senior brother Gue? Qin Xiaoyan ignored the three Li brothers chattering away, turning his attention to the younger junior brothers. Are you guys doing okay? Have you been listening to the hall masters? The little radish, getting his head rubbed, cheered happily. Yes. Of course. Not far away, a voice gritted its teeth and hissed. Qin Xiaoyan, you little brat. However, he was still surrounded by endless noise. Senior brother Qin. Senior brother Qin. All right. Have you eaten anything yet? Ignored by his son, the old man Qin Taishan unconsciously raised his voice. Where have you been, and why are you only showing your face now? Hong Silian beside him also called out naturally. Senior brother Qin. Qin Xiaoyan, who had lived 2 lifetimes, teared up for the first time and cried out to his old man, Father. Taishan was stunned by this, little bird returning to the nest act. What the hell is this? Why is he acting like we've just reunited after years apart? Unfazed, Qin Xiaoyun continued to choke back sobs. Father. Right now, his heart was overflowing with father-son affection like crashing waves. I never thought I'd want to hug my dad this much. This second life is truly a miracle. But the touching moment instantly turned ice cold with a heaven-shaking punch from Qin Taishan. Not satisfied with just throwing a punch, he followed up with a blistering scolding. You little brat. Did you think playing dumb would get you out of cleaning up the mess you made? Thanks to the scandal you caused with the Jilung Merchant Guild, the entire Tai sect almost ended up on the streets. The other hall masters are throwing a fit, demanding I arrest you and punish you immediately. Watching from the sidelines, Hong Xilian secretly thought to herself, his brain must really be broken. Amidst the chaos, Ji Jing jumped in to add fuel to the fire. So the bastard Qin Xiaoyun is finally back? I've been waiting a long time for you. Qin Xiaoyun, what cheap trick did you use last time? This time, let's have a fair fight. Qin Xiaoyun quickly snapped back to reality and called out his name. Senior Brother Ji. Seeing that pretty boy's face clearly, he flashed a meaningful smile. But before he could even hold the pose for a few seconds, Qin Xiaoyun clutched his head and screamed, It's too bright. Ji Zhiying, having no idea what kind of medicine he was selling, blurted out, What kind of trick are you pulling now? Qin Xiaoyun, waiting exactly for this, closed his eyes and started spouting nonsense. I don't even dare look straight at you anymore, because your aura as a master is just too blinding. Senior Brother Ji, the effects of the snow plum pill are truly extraordinary. How could I ever defeat someone as mighty as you? Ji Jing felt his blood boil straight to his brain at this sarcastic flattery. He ground his teeth but couldn't even form a complete sentence. You. But since he couldn't outtalk him, he had no choice but to swallow his anger and storm off. That's none of your business. Hong Xilian hurriedly rushed over and whispered anxiously, Why did you provoke him? Haven't you heard about the stolen snow plum pill? Qin Xiaoyun gave a despicable smirk and lowered his voice to explain, Of course I have. That's exactly why I brought it up. Taishan, completely bewildered, blurted out, Xilian, why has this kid been acting so weird lately? To this question, she could only hold her head in defeat. I don't know either. He was always a bit eccentric, but now. While everyone was confused, Qin Xiaoyun casually stepped up to distribute his loot. Hey kids, guess what your senior brother brought back? The disciples peeked in and were instantly dazzled by the pile of food. It's candy. There's malt sugar too. Do we really get to eat this? Qin Xiaoyun generously called out. Here. Share it evenly. If anyone hogs it, you'll have to answer to me. Taishan felt his blood pressure spike again, thanks to his prodigal son. You idiot. If you have money, you should buy rice. Why buy snacks? Even Hong Xilian had to scold him. What is the meaning of this? Where did you get the money to buy such expensive things? Qin Xiaoyun casually shut her down on the spot. Stop nagging and taste a little yourself, junior sister. Feeling like she couldn't communicate with him on a normal wavelength, she changed the subject. All right, fine. Just please don't run off on your own like that next time. You really are an idiot. Even when you're away, you only think about the Tai sect. Right now, the Jilung Merchant Guild is busy dealing with the snow plum pill incident and preparing for the Iron Sword sect leader's birthday banquet, so they barely have the time to come bother the Tai sect anymore. The sect leader also said we don't need to be on guard against them regarding that issue anymore. So, you don't have to shoulder everything by yourself. Speaking up to this point, Hong Xilian suddenly exploded in anger, her tone turning sharp. Don't you ever suddenly disappear like that again. For the first time, Qin Xiaoyun was scolded but felt so touched he almost cried. Junior sister. But despite his sorrowful expression, his inner thoughts were full of sarcasm. I wasn't on guard against anyone, and I didn't plan on shouldering anything either. She's suddenly being unusually nice, so I won't even bother correcting her. Qin Xiaoyun pushed the melodrama aside to ask about the main issue. By the way, only the Jilung Merchant Guild is attending the birthday banquet, right? But Hong Xilian's answer made both father and son freeze in their tracks. I heard our Tai sect will be attending as well. Qin Xiaoyun couldn't help but curse internally. Damn it. Has everything already been set in stone? Beside him, Hong Xilian continued to explain gently. Even though the sect leader is reluctant, it would be highly disrespectful to be absent without a valid reason. In his head, he immediately ran through thousands of sabotage scenarios. No reason to refuse. Damn it. I have to come up with an excuse no matter what. Before he could formulate a countermeasure, he was left confused as his old man suddenly turned away. He didn't say much, just tossing back an instruction. I will go to the Iron Sword sect. The rest of you stay here. Qin Shaoyan jolted and called after him. Father! A wave of unease rose in his mind. What's wrong with him? Why did he suddenly change his mind? But before he could gather his thoughts, his attention was drawn elsewhere. What's that rustling sound? It turned out to be Li Donglong, awkwardly tugging at his shirt and calling out softly, Senior Brother Qin. As soon as he turned his head, his eyes were met with a very generous portion of food. This is for you. Sticky rice cakes. While Qin Shaoyan still had question marks popping up over his head, Hong Xilian unconsciously shouted, Don't tell me. This is the sticky rice cake from the Jilung Merchant Guild's banquet. Li Donglong blushed and explained haltingly. Everyone said it was really delicious. I wanted to eat it with you, so I tried my best to save it until now. But you brought back so many expensive treats. I guess I should just throw this away, huh? Qin Shaoyan quickly grasped the situation but still wanted to confirm. You didn't eat it and kept it all this time just to wait for me to eat it together? The boy giggled and answered with absolute honesty. To be honest, if you had come back a day later, I probably wouldn't have been able to hold back. He lowered his head, his hair obscuring half his face, but his voice remained steady. Is that so? Without waiting for an answer, Qin Shaoyan immediately dumped all the food into his mouth. Seeing this, Hong Xilian cried out in panic, Senior Brother Qin. As the paper bag emptied, he spat out his review. Delicious. Yet Li Donglong painfully reproached him. Senior Brother Qin. Half of that was mine. Qin Shaoyan flashed a cheeky grin and playfully reassured him. Sorry. It was so good I accidentally ate the whole thing. To make up for it, Donglong, you can have my share of the candy. The boy's face flushed red at this generosity, his mouth hanging open in disbelief. Really? As soon as Li Donglong returned to the feast area, the other disciples clamored around him with questions. Hey, he said that spot was yours. What are you talking about? Did you give him the sticky rice cakes yet? Hurry up. The rice cakes will get hard if you leave them too long. Qin Shaoyan suddenly called out to the person beside him. Junior Sister Hong. His tone suddenly turned grave. Even if we manage to dodge this birthday banquet, next time, and the time after that, the Iron Sword sect will just keep sending us invitations to their banquets, right? If there's something to celebrate, then probably yes. Qin Shaoyan kept monologuing to himself, leaving Hong Xilian completely lost. Just as I thought. I can't let that continue. Ignoring her confusion, he continued his assessment. We'll have to endure endless humiliation. 10 times, then 100 times. And these kids will too. That is absolutely unacceptable. Finally, Qin Shaoyan locked in his own plan. It's decided then. We're going to the Iron Sword sect. Time flew by like a dog running through a field. Soon enough, the day of the Iron Sword sect leader's 60th birthday arrived. The group was making their way toward the Iron Sword sect. In the middle of the bustling main road, a clear voice suddenly rang out. Qin Shaoyan, there is one rule you absolutely must follow when we get to the Iron Sword sect. He couldn't help but ask immediately, and what is that? Jiang Taisher glared at him and roared. Absolutely no acting without thinking, under any circumstances. Qin Shaoyan felt crushed by his imposing aura, but still braced himself to talk back. Isn't it obvious that you're targeting me with that? Did the Hall Master come here on behalf of the sect leader just to babysit us? Jiang Taisher didn't bother hiding his anger, raising his voice to interrogate him. You're starting with your insolent mouth again. And why did you suddenly change your mind and demand to tag along anyway? He paled, spitting out a bold remark. Hall Master, you're being too unreasonable. Qin Shaoyan sneaked a glance at the Ji father and son, then loudly defended himself. I want to hold back too. But if people keep deliberately throwing a wrench in the works, what am I supposed to do? Jiang Taisher sighed, trying to knock some sense into him. That's exactly why I'm telling you to restrain yourself. You just caused a mess and then ran away from home. Are you going through a rebellious phase again? Qin Shaoyan shot his mouth off, arguing back without realizing his old man was hearing every word loud and clear. You never cared whether I came home or not before. Why are you suddenly so anxious about it now? Hall Master, you've been around my father for too long. Your nagging is exactly like his. While Jiang Taisher was itching to punch him out of sheer annoyance. You little brat. At least remember we're outside the Tai sect right now. Qin Xiaoyun's eyes unconsciously drifted toward Qin Taishan, filled with anxiety. Father, am I just being too paranoid? He's been unusually quiet ever since we decided to come to the Iron Sword sect. Seeing him space out, Jiang Taisher finally delivered a knock to his head with a shout. You little punk. Answer me. Tears streamed down Qin Xiaoyun's face, but his mouth refused to yield. I get it. So, even if they insult our sect or disrespect our ancestors, I'll just grin and bear it. The old man flew into a rage and bellowed. You little bastard. Are you in your rebellious phase? I changed your diapers when you were just a baby, and this is how you repay me. Morally kidnapped, Qin Xiaoyun was momentarily at a loss for words. Are you bringing that up again? While the two were fiercely bickering, a condescending voice cut in. Excuse me. Please make way for us. We have friends who saved spots for us up ahead. Jiang Taisher was dumbfounded and demanded. What? What kind of joke is this? Are you saying this entire crowd is going to cut in line? The other party shamelessly reminded him. Didn't I just say we have acquaintances holding our spots? In a split second, he forgot all the lectures he had just given, pointing right at the guy's face and unleashing his verbal martial arts. Have some shame. Are you planning to just blatantly cut in line? The young master immediately spat out the classic question. Do you know who we are, daring to raise your voice like that? But right at that moment, someone grabbed his shoulder and stepped forward to explain. That's enough. Let me explain. We've traveled a long way, and because we were so exhausted, we sent someone ahead to save our spots. The man paused for a moment, then waved his hand and announced his name with great fanfare. I am Gu Yangxi of the Qingzhou Fort. Before Qin Xiaoyun could even react, the Ji father and son were already exclaiming, The Qingzhou Fort? Gu Yangxi took the opportunity to boast further. If you know our reputation, then don't cause unnecessary trouble. You'd better be smart and make way. Ji Yinshua, who usually looked down his nose at everyone, was suddenly fawning over them. The Qingzhou Fort? Isn't that the most prestigious sect in Nanjing, Jiangsu province? Oh my, please forgive our rudeness just now. Please, go right ahead. Flattered, Gu Yangxi became even more arrogant. At least someone here knows their place. Qin Xiaoyun furrowed his brows tightly as his brain repeated the familiar name. The Qingzhou Fort? His superhuman memory quickly flooded with fragments from his past life. That bastard Gu Yangxi, the precious son of the Qingzhou Fort's master. He's absolute scum. The guy who later becomes sworn brothers with Ji Zhuiying. Their rotten personalities matched perfectly, and together with Ji Zhuiying, he treated the disciples of the Tai sect like lowly servants. Snapping back to reality, the disciples of the Qingzhou Fort whispered to each other, mocking Ji Yinshua. Look at that merchant. He froze in fear the moment he heard our name. A fat merchant and a pathetic-looking sect. But wait, that uniform. Their tones suddenly faltered when they got a clear look at Qin Taishan's attire. Could it be the Tai sect of the 108 Peaks? When their eyes shifted to Jiang Taisher, their confusion became even more apparent. The Tai sect? Isn't that the sect everyone wonders how they even made it onto the 108 Peaks list? At this rate, their position might just get swallowed up by the Iron Sword sect. Qin Xiaoyun paid no attention to those nobodies. Instead, he suddenly grabbed the shoulders of the Ji father and son to ask, what was it you just said? He casually shoved the duo aside and turned toward Gu Yangxi's group. The Changzhou Fort? Or the Jiazhou Fort, or whatever. That's a sect I've never even heard of. Could you repeat that one more time? The guy was so suppressed by that golden mouth that his face turned ashen. What did you say? Even the Ji father and son shuddered and cried out. Chang. Fort. The onlookers unanimously broke into a cold sweat of unease while Qin Xiaoyun kept running his mouth. Wait a minute. I'm sure I've heard that name somewhere before. Where did I hear it? After pretending to think for a moment, he suddenly burst out laughing and delivered the finishing blow. Was it the name written in the outhouse? The surrounding temperature instantly plummeted. Aside from Qin Xiaoyun's laughter, it was dead silent. Gu Yangxi, recovering his senses, gripped the hilt of his sword tightly and roared, You! You bastard. He didn't care who his opponent was. Anger had completely overtaken his reason, and his blade swung forward with a scream. You piece of trash. You dare insult our Qingzhou fort. But the anticipated brawl never happened, as a soft voice rang out. What is all this noise about? Even with his sword pressed right against Qin Xiaoyun's neck, Gu Yangxi had to freeze for a split second. The crowd suddenly erupted into noisy chatter. That woman is. That's the beautiful wolf of the Iron Sword sect. Is the blood wolf of the Iron Sword with her? She's even more beautiful than the rumors say. Qing Mudan didn't show any obvious emotion, but her icy voice made everyone shiver. Did you all come to my grandfather's birthday banquet? She paused for a moment to sweep her gaze over the crowd before finishing her sentence, hoping to see blood spilled. The Iron Sword sect was a sect that had only risen to prominence about 150 years ago. Although they had no personal grudge against the Tai sect, the fact that they were based right in Hefei was a huge problem. Two suns cannot exist in the same sky. The Iron Sword sect didn't just want to expand their power normally. They schemed to trample over the Tai sect's position among the 108 peaks. Before Qin Xiaoyun's rebirth, the Tai sect had attended the Iron Sword sect leader's 60th birthday celebration. Hong Silian, Ji Zhiying, and he had joined the banquet for the younger generation. There, I got into a dispute with the Iron Sword sect leader's grandson, the blood wolf of the Iron Sword, Qing Mushuan. Qing Mushuan insulted the Tai sect and forced me into a duel. At that time, even knowing he would suffer a crushing defeat, he still accepted the challenge. To stop the fight, Qin Xiaoyun's father, Qin Taishan, upon hearing the news, had to kneel and apologize to the Iron Sword sect leader in front of everyone. I'm sure things will play out the exact same way this time. Qing Mudan's icy tone, though laced with killing intent, still made the young men around her blush. What is all this noise about? Did you all come to my grandfather's birthday banquet, or did you come here to see blood spilled? Gu Yangxi, who had been burning with rage, instantly changed his tune the moment he saw the beauty. If it isn't the beautiful wolf of the Iron Sword, the situation is like this. He quickly played the victim and complained first. It's all because of this little brat. Qing Mudan didn't even need to hear the rest before losing her patience and cutting him off. Our Iron Sword sect does not have a policy of prioritizing spots in line. So go to the back of the line and wait your turn. After putting that weakling in his place, she changed her tone and turned to Qin Xiaoyun to apologize. Pardon my rudeness. I arrived a bit late. I am Qing Mudan of the Iron Sword sect. I apologize for the incident just now. Consider this a small token of my apology. May I lead the way for the people of the Tai sect and the Jilung Merchant Guild. The chaotic scene ended with Qin Xiaoyun's group following Qing Mudan. Ji Zhiying, despite having zero weight to throw around, shamelessly flirted with her. I've heard that among the fierce wolves of the Iron Sword sect, there is a flower of peerless beauty. It seems the rumors haven't fully captured your true beauty, Mississippi. Qing Mudan wasn't angry. Instead, she politely replied, You flatter me. The young sect leader is eagerly awaiting the esteemed presence of the Jilung Merchant Guild and the Tai sect. Please, follow me. Qin Xiaoyun stared at her back, his mind churning like a stormy sea. So she is Qing Mudan, the granddaughter of the old Iron Sword sect leader. In my past life, Qing Mudan had absolutely no ties with the Tai sect. Did my actions change everything? Or is it? He couldn't help but raise his guard. Is there some other conspiracy behind this? Right then, Qing Mudan's voice cut through his thoughts. We have arrived. Hong Silian stared at the massive estate in awe. It's so grand. Even Zhang Taisher had to marvel. The scale is even larger than before. Only Qin Xiaoyun maintained his cold demeanor, calculating in his head. There's no way they're being this nice for no reason. For now, I just need to observe carefully. Inside the banquet hall of the Iron Sword sect, lively laughter and chatter flooded Qin Xiaoyun's ears. Among the revelers, the host, Qing Tianyue, was clearly the most enthusiastic. Qing Mudan directed everyone's attention toward him and introduced. The one sitting at the highest seat is my grandfather, the current sect leader of the Iron Sword sect. And the one sitting next to him is my father, the current young sect leader. Seeing the VIPs, the Ji father and son immediately tried to cozy up to them. Sect leader. Young sect leader. It's been a long time. I hope you two have been well. It truly has been ages since we last met. Flattered, Qing Zhuzhua cheerfully spouted some empty pleasantries. Guildmaster of the Jilong Merchant Guild, there's no need to be so formal. We're all family here. Zhiying came too. It's been a long time since I've seen you, boy. Relying on his position as the host, he unleashed a tirade that completely trampled the Tai Sect's dignity into the dirt. Even now, whenever I think about losing a genius like you, I still regret it so much I lose sleep. Honestly, if it weren't for the absurd privileges of the 108 Peaks, I would have taken you in as my disciple long ago. I'm truly jealous of the Tai Sect, snatching up a treasure like you without lifting a finger. Ji Yinshua, soaking up the praise, eagerly played along. You're too kind, sir. Only then did Qing Mutant speak up to remind him. Father, these are the people from the Tai Sect. You should greet them. Qing Zhuzhua paused, asking in surprise, the Tai Sect? He reluctantly shifted his gaze, but his previous enthusiasm had completely vanished. Out of basic politeness, the two hall masters still cupped their hands in a formal greeting. I am Jiang Taisher, master of the Guihua Hall of the Tai Sect. And I am the outer hall master, Qin Taishan. Qing Zhuzhua suddenly switched to a condescending tone. Jiang Taisher, I've met you a few times at the Martial Arts Alliance. As for you, Qin Taishan. He deliberately paused for a moment, then emphasized with heavy implication. It's been 20 years, hasn't it? Ever since that incident. Qin Shaoyan, who had been cosplaying as a pillar, suddenly jolted. That incident? What does that mean? Qing Zhuzhua didn't dwell on the past, and quickly changed the subject. Has Sect Leader Hong been well lately? Looking closely, the young lady with you must be Sect Leader Hong's precious daughter. And who is that brat? Jiang Taisher politely introduced him. That child is the son of the outer hall master. Without even glancing at him, he drawled insultingly. Just looking at them, the foundation of these two is truly disappointing. Don't tell me these are your most elite disciples. Well, whatever. It's easy to understand what kind of people a place like the Tai Sect produces. Stop wasting your energy on useless things. Focus on nurturing Zhiying. Qing Zhuzhua's words became increasingly outrageous, to the point where even his own daughter couldn't stand it. I mean nurturing his talent, not teaching him those Tai Sect martial arts. If he keeps obsessing over practicing that stuff. Yet he still managed to peacefully finish his rant, offending both guests and hosts alike. Then I don't want to see him end up as some third-rate martial artist in the future. It was Qin Shaoyan, acting like a dead pig unafraid of boiling water, who stepped up and fired back. Good Lord, he's acting like some bottom-tier scumbag. He stood with his hands on his hips in the middle of the hall, bluntly roasting Qing Zhuzhua. Every word coming out of this old man's mouth is seriously pissing me off. Being slapped in the face by a guest in his own home made him tremble with rage. You little brat. What the hell did you just mutter? Not only was Qin Shaoyan unfazed, but he also stepped forward to explain in detail. I'm so sorry. I originally meant to just think it in my head, but who knew it would slip out on its own? Qing Zhuzhua, facing a tough opponent for the first time, was somewhat at a disadvantage. He struggled before finally squeezing out a weak interrogation. Do you consider that an apology? Qin Shaoyan, feeling he had mocked him enough, switched to a more serious tone. But isn't it the truth? Just now, you called my junior sister's father and the Tai Sect Leader Hong, as if you were old friends. You also presumptuously asked about someone else's martial arts, something a martial artist shouldn't casually inquire about. And finally, you acted all high and mighty to belittle and look down on the martial arts of our Tai Sect. With every word Qin Shaoyan spoke, Qing Zhuzhua's face stung as if he were being slapped. Hearing such offensive words, who wouldn't get angry? However, the ancients taught us not to be rude even to the arrogant and vulgar. This is clearly my fault. I sincerely apologize to you. He moved his lips for a long time, but could only say, you bastard. While Qing Mutant tried to suppress a smile, the onlookers were somewhat in awe of Qin Shaoyan. Who is that kid to be so bold? He actually dared to call the people of the Iron Sword Sect street thugs. That's insane. Qing Tianyue hadn't planned on lowering himself to intervene, but even he was drawn in by Qin Shaoyan's sharp tongue. Down below, Qing Zhuzhua's face was burning red, on the verge of exploding at any moment. You little bastard. Qin Shaoyan didn't flinch. Instead, He added fuel to the fire. Are you not going to accept my apology? The cup in his hand instantly cracked with a sharp sound. Blinded by rage, Qin Zhuzhua raised his hand, ready to finish Qin Shaoyun off. You arrogant little shit. Right at the climax, a disciple ran in from the door to announce, Sect leader, the strategist of the Martial Arts Alliance has just arrived. Only then did Qin Tianyue leave his seat and shout, reminding everyone while stopping his son from doing something disgraceful. The day has finally come. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and welcome him. The people who had been watching from the sidelines immediately jumped up upon hearing this. The strategist is here. Everyone wished they could sprout wings and fly to the main door. Sect leader, let's go together. Hurry. We must go pay our respects to him immediately. Even Ji Yanshua forgot his own weight and glided away like the wind. Zhiying, hurry up, son. Yet his precious son loudly refused. I'm not going with you, father. On this side, Qin Tianyue loudly ordered his subordinates, bring out all the prepared gifts immediately. Although Qin Zhuzhua still wanted a piece of Qin Shaoyun, he didn't dare disobey his old man's orders. When the grand hall was empty, Hong Silian asked hesitantly, shouldn't we go welcome him too? Qin Shaoyun leisurely and fluently analyzed the situation. There are already hundreds of people crowding around to suck up to the strategist anyway. We might as well go inside early and grab a good seat. He was rambling on when he suddenly choked, his collar yanked up from behind. Qin Shaoyun, you little punk. Jiang Taisher, who had been holding back this whole time, finally found a chance to settle the score with this troublemaker. What the hell were you thinking, talking to the young sect leader of the Iron Sword sect like that? Didn't I tell you time and time again to know your limits? Even though he was choking to death, Qin Shaoyun stubbornly talked back. What? Honestly speaking, when you were talking to that young sect leader earlier, I was watching from behind the whole time. If I hadn't stepped in, you would have drawn your sword, wouldn't you? Caught off guard by the sharp question, he froze. That, Qin Shaoyun silently added in his mind, if I could see it, that guy definitely noticed it too. He deliberately spouted that garbage just to provoke someone into losing their temper and drawing their sword. We almost ended up having to kneel and apologize like on that fateful day. Thinking of this, he looked toward Jiang Taisher and reminded him, please don't act rashly. Can't you see the Iron Sword sect is blatantly provoking us? I'm telling you not to bring more trouble upon yourself. Just try to maintain the demeanor of a gentleman. Being lectured made his face burn, and he vaguely promised, you little brat. I know. You don't have to keep nagging me. Having given his advice, Qin Shaoyun took the opportunity to ask about the main issue. So what exactly happened 20 years ago? I saw your face looking grim ever since the reception started. Jiang Taisher unconsciously looked toward Qin Taishan and stammered, that. He stopped halfway, lowering his head in uncomfortable silence. Qing Muden, who had been cosplaying as an invisible person this whole time, suddenly spoke up. Why don't we continue this inside? Let me lead you to the best seats. Please, follow me. Jiang Taisher didn't dare stay in this suffocating atmosphere any longer, so he hurried after her. That would be wonderful. Thank you, Mississippi. She's kind enough to lead us to a good spot. Why aren't you moving yet? Hurry up. As soon as he settled into the prime seat, Qin Shaoyun praised it internally. A truly comfortable VIP seat with a gorgeous view of the lake. The lavish spread of food made his heart flutter even more. It's full of delicacies we wouldn't even dare dream of normally. Why are the people of the Iron Sword sect treating us so nicely? They even gave us front row seats. While Qin Shaoyun was deep in thought, Qing Muden's voice cut in. May I know this young hero's name? He put his thoughts aside and introduced himself honestly. My name is Qin Shaoyun. But, by the way, aren't you going to pay your respects to the strategist of the Martial Arts Alliance? She casually rested her chin on her hand and shared. The rules of the Iron Sword sect don't allow women to interfere in these major affairs. I won't be punished for not being there. The young sect leader of the Iron Sword sect has 2 children, the blood wolf of the Iron Sword, Qing Mushuan, and the beautiful wolf of the Iron Sword, Qing Muden. The blood wolf of the Iron Sword, Qing Mushuan, is spoiled and enjoys all the sect's resources. He is the default successor to the sect leader position. On the other hand, the beautiful wolf of the Iron Sword, Qing Muden, despite starting her internal energy training quite late at the age of 9, is a genius. She is the one who will later enter the martial arts academy alongside the Blood Wolf. After reviewing the Qing siblings' profiles in his head, Qin Xiaoyun casually chatted while eating. Rumor has it that the fangs of the beautiful wolf are even sharper than the Blood Wolf's. To receive the care and favor of someone like you, Miss, must be a good omen for the Tai sect. Hearing him speak such flowery words for the first time, Qing Yuden covered her mouth and giggled. Oh my, I didn't expect you to know me so well. Or perhaps you've been secretly keeping an eye on me. Qin Xiaoyun casually explained. I'm just repeating the rumors I often hear. While the two sides were probing each other, Qin Taishan was somewhat timid. Is it really okay for us to be treated like this? Jiang Taisher beside him, having thick nerves, brushed it off completely. Whatever. I don't care. Qing Yuden suddenly confessed, half joking, half serious. Anyway, I wanted to apologize on behalf of my father for what happened earlier. Since we had good relations with the Jilung Merchant Guild in the past, he probably acted that way because he was too regretful about losing Brother Xi. Qin Xiaoyun casually passed the buck. It's not too late. You can still take him with you now. She didn't take it seriously and brushed it off. You're quite the joker. Right then, Qin Xiaoyun's tone suddenly became more serious. Even so, there's one thing I've always wondered. Miss, isn't this supposed to be a banquet? A place where everyone gathers to celebrate and rejoice. His sharpness made Qing Yuden raise her guard. However, she quickly reeled in her emotions and denied it. Of course it is. If not, what else would this banquet be for? Qin Xiaoyun wiped his mouth and added another bold statement. I've heard that banquets are often used to brew murder plots. Qing Yuden's eyes instantly hardened, faintly radiating killing intent. Feeling that she couldn't communicate with him any further, she stood up abruptly after tossing back a compliment. Young hero Qin is truly an interesting person. I would love to dine with you to dispel these suspicions, but it's time for me to go. Qing Yuden cupped her hands in proper etiquette to leave the Tai sect to themselves. Well then, I'll take my leave. Qin Xiaoyun's group just stared blankly as she left the small room. Once she was out of sight, Hong Xilian shot Qin Xiaoyun a glare as sharp as a knife. Who were those two? Soon enough, the dark night fell. Amidst the noisy chatter, a flirting voice rang out again. Miss Qing, your beauty truly lives up to its reputation. Miss, if you don't mind, would you please come sit with us? The lustful young masters threw themselves at Qing Yuden like moths to a flame, offering invitations. Miss Qing, please join me for the banquet tonight. No, you should come with me. But the ambiguous atmosphere was quickly shattered by a frantic scream. Miss! A maid ran out, cupping her hands around her mouth and shouting endlessly. Miss, where did you go? The young sect leader is looking for you urgently. Qing Yuden, currently lying on the roof eating and muttering to herself, sighed. Finally, I can breathe a little. I can't believe there isn't a single decent man among that crowd, let alone a true martial artist. Even so, that Qin Xiaoyun from the Tai sect is a bit special. His internal energy seems ordinary, but even when facing Gu Yangxi of the Qingzhou fort, or even my father, the young sect leader of the Iron Sword sect, he maintained his composure. He didn't bow his head at all and was full of confidence. Thinking up to this point, a wave of doubt rose in her heart. Does he really not fear the prestige of the Iron Sword sect? Or is he just a lunatic who doesn't know how high the sky is and how thick the earth is? While letting her mind wander with the wind, Qing Yuden suddenly shifted her attention forward. There were two figures catching her eye. Isn't that the young lady of the Tai sect and that lackey? I mean Ji Zhiying? Where are those two going? Qing Yuden's mind suddenly flooded with fragmented memories. Come to think of it, those guys mentioned something about a banquet tonight. I think my older brother said he was going to gather the young disciples for drinks at the festival tonight. Is it happening right now? But the more she thought about it, the more her suspicion grew. But why? Why are only the two of them going? Isn't young hero Qin going with them? But no matter how curious she was, Qing Yuden stayed put and watched. This looks like it's going to be very interesting. She decided to gather information from another direction, where she only needed to raise her hand and knock on the door to hear Qin Xiaoyun's voice. Who is it? As soon as he slid the door open, his face went blank. It took a long while for Qin Xiaoyun to find his voice again. Miss Qin? What brings you all the way here at this hour?